Greetings, I am Mr. O'Neill and I coach chess at Insight School of Washington in Washington State. And this is week one of the fall season Stride K12 arena for chess. We are just underway. It's a 1 hour arena, and I rookrolled you and Charles Blanton. I've gotten going, and we also have Terrible Chess Player and Budgie 10. These are the top two rated games going on so far. So taking a look at I Rookrolled You and Charles Blanton, I played I Rookrolled You last week. I have not played Charles Blanton in the past. So looks like we have a Caro Khan defense and a two knights attack. The volume on my computer is a little bit loud. Hold on. Going after the bishop. There we go. That should be a little bit better. The issue with taking the bishop is then black can fix their pawn structure, and they won't have double pawns on the file anymore. I rookrolled you. Strong player, 2080. Charles Blanton, also strong player, 1857. Elo. Taking some time. The time control is 10 plus 0, so 10 minutes and no increment. Yeah, so probably happy trading the bishop and fixing the pawn structure. There's no fork here. Because no fork there because everything's being defended. Kind of an awkward position to have the queen, but smart to get it out of the way of the pin. Also, probably could have just blocked with the bishop there, but then you got to worry about this double attack. And then the bishop's probably a goner at that point, unless you slid the rook over, or the queen over to defend the bishop. So this dark squared bishop is a bad bishop because it does not have a bright future. So I may have to push and then open up the bishop to, yeah, so pushing, so good move, that's what I would have done. And then putting the bishop on e3 kind of puts a damper on this action right here. The issue with taking is after the bishop takes, this pawn's not being defended, and then the king's more exposed. So probably want to go bishop here and then retake with the bishop, and then the king's a little bit more protected, and then can castle. And the king on this light square b1 is not immediately under threat because rook doesn't have their light squared bishop anymore. Yeah, I would not have done that. I would have just put the bishop here and then retaken this way. Because now after takes with the... Oh, they're taking with the knight instead. So I would not have seen that. Yeah, so bishop to e3. And then castle. Oh, I guess we can't castle anymore because they moved their king. I forgot about that. Yeah, they had to move their king to get out of check, so there's no castling anymore. But there's still bishop to b5 going after the rook. Although I'm not sure how helpful that is, because like after like this and this, then the queen's just going to double up and put some more pressure on the e-file. And this rook on h1 does not have a bright future. And this other rook on a1 doesn't have a bright future. So you're probably looking at something like, king to c2, get this rook into the game on d1, Like develop the bishop this way, put this rook on this semi-open file, and then when you get both of your rooks on e1 and d1, you'll be in a better spot. Yeah, so we see king to c2, just like I was thinking. And then we've got rook to d1 coming, going after the queen. Also want to develop the bishop eventually. I guess you could also put the bishop on e2, a little bit more passive. The queen's really passive. Queen's not really doing a whole lot. The nice thing about putting the bishop on d3 is you're going after this pawn. So definitely have some options and some things to be aware of from the black side. Okay. So still have this. This is a candidate move. Double attack. Or not. Yeah, because just push the pawn and then white doesn't really have much. But good move activating the bishop, getting ready to activate the other rook. So these rooks definitely want to be on these files. The knight looks scary, but I'm not sure how much the knight can actually do. This is +1 for white, but white's in a difficult position because they're not castled. Okay, so we could see a trade. If there's a trade, white would have control over the d file. And then I would probably say white is for choice if there's a trade. Eventually, the queen may want to come to f3 to keep an eye on this square from behind. Black really taking their time. 4.5 minutes. This is turning from a rapid game into a bit of a blitz game. This is a theoretical draw, but I think white is a little bit better here. Probably just going back to e2. Or there's check first, that works. And now you have to move the bishop. Yeah, because the problem with that is now your pawn's not being defended and your bishop's also being attacked. So probably not a great idea to sacrifice the bishop for the knight there. Because you're losing the bishop pair too. And this also comes with check. And your bishop's being hit too. So you're going to lose your bishop. But I mean, it is being defended by the queen, but you got to be careful here. White's position's starting to fall apart a little bit. Even a move like this, like queen here, like putting a double attack on the bishop. I mean, things are getting dicey. Bishop does defend from behind, but I guess, yeah, don't want to lose your queen because the queen's covering e3, but yeah, that works. That's what I was thinking. There isn't quite a back rank mate because the king can escape. I think white's just barely holding on to this position. There's also bishop here. May have been stronger. Because then you're tying down these squares. And you're really restricting the king's movement. So bishop to g6, I think, would have been a stronger move. Really restricting the king's movement and blockading this pawn. So going for the trade, don't want to double your pawns on the h-file. That would not be good for white. So probably want to just go for a simple trade. Or let's see, queen. I mean, there's queen here, and then getting your queen in this way. And then the nice thing about putting your queen on h1, yeah, that's a good move, because then your queen's also keeping an eye on this square. And then looking to come in here this way. That's exactly what I would have done. I'm not streaming, but I am recording. So nobody's getting any help from me. Not streaming, but I am recording. So if you're watching in the future on YouTube, welcome to the week 1 regular season of the fall K12 chess formal regular season. 10 plus 0. There's almost a skewer, but it doesn't quite work because the rook's not on d8. I rook rolled you as getting a little bit low on time. No pun intended. There's check. Yeah. I think black is doing fine here, though. I guess there is check, and then if here, you can put the bishop in. Oh. Because if here, then you can take the pawn with check. So check. Here, take the pawn with check. Here, deliver a check with the bishop. I guess you can't use the bishop to deliver a check now. Now you have to move the queen. I guess that doesn't quite work. I thought it would work. I forgot the queen's not defending the I guess now you are threatening this, but I'm not sure if that's much of a threat. Because the king can always escape. Oh, wait, yeah. Yeah, king back. Yeah, check. King goes back. Check. Can't go here. Has to go here. And then you take the pawn with check. So that should work. There's also takes, but okay, they saw it. They saw the danger. But now the rook is trapped. And the queen is kind of trapped too. And now you can take this pawn. Yeah, the queen, you're trapping your own queen at that point. So you kind of have to. Good move. Going after the queen. Yeah. Ooh. I think you have to go here. Or there's that. There's no promotion on either of these squares because the rook is covering and the bishop's covering. Yeah, just taking with the bishop is the right move there. And then now white is still threatening this move. Ooh. Yeah, that's a good move. Trying to dislodge the queen. And then this move is still coming to go after the rook. I think I rook rolled you into some trouble here. Yep. So white won by resignation. I rook rolled you design because after the queen moves, there's really no place to go. That was a good game. Yep. So the queen can move anywhere to get out of the way, and then this is coming. The bishop's being defended by the pawn. That rook is falling. It's just a losing position. Although there is like maybe this, and then this, and then does that work? Check. Yeah, the king can escape. The king can escape, so it's not quite. And then the rook can also come back. This is just a very powerful bishop because the rook can always come back to hit the queen again. So, okay. Let's see who else we got going. So I rook rolled you playing against Geek 58. Sonic Star 235 against a Piggy Bank 1391. That's a candidate game to watch. Murray II and Budgie 10. They've gone head to head a lot over the years. A Piggy Bank 1391, rated 1096. Sonic Star 235, 1186. So white has to be careful. The king, yeah, so you can't take because of the pin. Disrupting the pin, going after the bishop. The knight can take that rook. Going after a back, oh, it's not quite back, right? Because the bishop can go back to block. So I have to take the bishop here. And then this other bishop is being attacked as well. So, oh wait, why didn't they just take the rook? Okay, that makes no sense. You just take the rook with the knight. But instead, they moved the queen. I guess maybe going after this, but now they're sacrificing a bishop, and they could have just taken the bishop. Oh, because then there's checkmate. I see. Yeah, so you can't take the bishop there because there's checkmate. I see now. Tricky. That's a tricky position. So you take the bishop, and then there's checkmate. Not because the rook's defending, because the rook's not defending, but the bishop's defending the queen. Yep. That'd be a nasty checkmate. Yeah, the rook's not being defended there. So this is +5. White's doing a nice job here. Going after the bishop and also threatening this. So this is a back rank checkmate because the queen's going to go back and you're just going to take. So threatening checkmate, also threatening to take the bishop. Yeah. So now you're going to lose the bishop, and it's just game over. All right. So that was a good game. +8 now for Sonic Star 235. And let's see, who else do we have? What do the standings look like? Oh, the standings haven't updated yet. Oh, there we go. So yeah, Charles Blanton, he's a good player. 9 point. Murray the second also is at 9, and Snowy Double X also at 9. James 317349's at 9. So a four-way tie for first place with 38 minutes left in the arena. Musical Rose hanging on. The correct move here is knight to c6 to block the... Yeah, now you're just losing a queen. Should have gone knight to... You definitely wanted to do knight to c6 there to block the bishop. Now you lost a queen, and Charles Blanton will have now you got a double attack here, so you got to bring the rook over. Okay. Yep. So +6 here because won the queen in exchange for the bishop. Paper Player 59, Dr. Evilman 12. Take with check, but I'm not sure if that helps you very much. Probably want to slide the bishop back to b2. See, now you're... Okay, the bishop was trapped there. This is not... Paper Player 59, this is not an ideal move because you've got this, and now your bishop has nowhere to go. Bishop is trapped. And you're losing a bishop on your next move. So... I mean, you could maybe take with check, and then after takes, you could go here. But and then like your bishop is still at risk of being trapped here. So I mean, you could maybe like try this, but they don't have to take. They can just leave your bishop as trapped. So then you'd have like something like this. Takes, takes, and then now black is threatening to trap your bishop again. I mean, black has to figure out a way to defend this square somehow. Oh, they're defending the square with the knight. That's what it is. So yeah, this is just losing a bishop now. Bishop's got nowhere to go. The knight's defending. Let's see how that game ended. Yeah, Doctoral Evilman 12 has a 3-point advantage now. And that's a skewer. Shish kebab. I'm going to lose a rook after you move the queen. Yep. So now it's +6 now for Dr. Even on 12. Take a look at the next game. +6 is the equivalent of 2 minor pieces. I rook rolled you and Vincent JK 2011. Going after the queen. Knight's being defended by the rook. So the positions are well pieced and coordinated with one another. Setting up a discovered attack against the queen. So like you can take the pawn with check and then take the queen on the next move. Going after the queen again. They might repeat. So this is solidifying the knight in the middle of the board. This is a very powerful knight now. Interesting sacrifice. This is checkmate. Checkmate. Knight's covering. It doesn't help to move the bishop because the knight's still covering the square. Yeah, that's pretty much the only way to defend checkmate. So now the knight's covering from behind. But so Vincent JK 2011 is just barely holding on here. As, just strictly in terms of material, it's an even position, but you can tell I rook rolled you is closing in fast. I think the attack for white has kind of died a little bit because you can see how they're taking their time. Okay, so now they have a double attack. Maybe I spoke too soon. And the knight's also pinned. And there's no good way to oh, I guess there's this. Queen to c5. Yeah, I should have gone queen to c5 there. Queen to c5 would have been better. Because then queen to c5, you're defending the knight from behind. And then you're also attacking this pawn and then still defending the knight from behind. Yeah, that just loses a rook. And now I rook rolled you is going to rook roll you and knight roll you and queen roll you. No pun intended. Can't take the knight because it's being defended twice. That's a good game. I rook rolled you's up by 8 now, which is almost a queen. A queen is 9. Terrible chess player, not so terrible because they're rated 1301. 1301 puts them in the, let me think. 1301 puts them in the 75th percentile, give or take, worldwide. I would have to look it up. I haven't checked the rankings in a while, but I think 1301 would put them right around the 75th percentile worldwide, give or take, comparing them to all the chess.com accounts that have been made. Malachi C, 384. It's a fairly close game. I mean, terrible chess players only up by 2 here. So the idea is you want to start pushing these pawns forward and then eventually queen. Yeah, that's the only move so that you can hold on to your own queen. Now there's a passed pawn on the f file. Now there's 3 passed pawns, so it's a race. Who can promote their queen faster? Who can promote faster? It's a race. Pawn race. Who's going to win? Probably would have gone queen to a6 instead. But I mean, this works too, because then you're still keeping an eye on this back rank. I think black's going to win here, because how do you stop the promotion? Pawns, the black pawn's a little bit faster. Yeah, this would have been bad, because then you're getting skewered. Well, I guess not quite, because the king's defending. I don't see any more checks. Oh, I guess there's this for a check. That's a crazy move, because you're just sacrificing a queen for a pawn. All right. Terrible chess players winning by 8 points now. Okay, sacrificing a queen for a pawn is pretty bold. Now it's plus 16 here. Okay, so who else do we have? Ironbat 7 against I rook rolled you. Going after the fork. Doesn't quite get the fork, because but oh, the could have just I guess the pawn's defending there. Can't deliver a check there. Yeah, good move. Queen's coming in. Queen's being defended by the rook, or by the bishop, I meant to say. Yeah, everything's going down here for Ironbat 7. I've played Ironbat 7 before. Yeah, I got to be careful not to lose your queen, because the knight's covering here. And that's checkmate, because you got the bishop involved. Nowhere to go. Bishop's being defended by the queen. Queen's covering here. Bishop's covering here. Bishop's covering here. Can't go here because the knight's in your way. Nice checkmate in the middle of the board. The bishops and the queen are working well together here. Nice coordination. Rook is pinning the bishop against the king. Also have a double attack here. Snowy double X and a piggy bank 1331. Yeah, so just yeah, better to take with the pawn there, because now you can connect your pawns if needed. Queen is not trapped. Yeah, this is a good move, because you're threatening to bring the queen in somehow on this diagonal. Yep. Got to be careful here, because the knight's strong in the middle of the board. Knights in the middle of the board are always strong. There is a pin, and this rook is not being defended. And the knight doesn't have any discovered checks. Okay, that's weakening this pawn, so the knight can take this pawn. But this, yeah, going after the queen. Knight's defending the rook from behind. Smart move. Can't deliver a check here because the knight, again, is covering. Rook's undefended. This pawn is also undefended. So probably rook to d1 saves the pawn. The nice thing about this queen to d4 move is now you're defending this undefended pawn. Oh, I guess the knight is covering this rook from behind. I didn't see that. Yeah, these knights in the middle of the board, they cover a lot of squares. I mean, boom, 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 boom. Look at all those red squares that the knight's covering. A knight in the middle of the board like this can sometimes be stronger than a bishop, depending on the position. Yeah, knight's not being defended there, because after the pawn takes, the knight's not being defended anymore once the pawn takes. So and another pawn just went down. Have a pin. Also threatening to bring this rook into the game. Can double up rooks on the b file, go in this way. Could still double up rooks if they wanted to. Could add an extra rook for pressuring this bishop, and then you've got the pin against the king. Yeah, taking the pawn with check. I mean, all roads lead to Rome here. Check. Check. The bishop's covering. That's a blunder. Oh yeah, not a blunder because the rook was undefended. Never mind. That was a tricky move. Yep, rook was not being defended there. Really tricky. So when the bishop took, then you can just take the other rook. Both players are getting low on time. It's turning into a bullet game now. This is tricky because the king only has one square, and now you have a discovered check. Oh, you should have taken. Why can't? Oh yeah, never mind. Yeah, that's the only move. That's checkmate. Wow, what a crazy game. Let's take a look at that sequence. So in this position, white is winning by 8 points, which is almost a full queen. But watch how the rook and the bishop really coordinate nicely with each other. So talk about a come from behind win. Check. King can't go here because the rook. This is the only move. And then instead of like moving the rook this way, you just move the rook up one spot. Check with the bishop. Cannot take the rook because you're in check. You can't take the rook because you're in check. And then the only move, I mean, the king is really trapped here in the corner. The only move is to block the check with the rook. And after takes, that's checkmate. That's the most beautiful checkmate we've seen all day, by far. Come from behind win, too. Down by almost a queen and still won the game. That's why you never give up. Bishops and rooks are powerful with each other. They coordinated really well with each other there. We've got 20 minutes left in the arena. Week 1 for the fall season of Stride K12 formal chess. Admiral Aqua. Against I rookrolled you. And I rookrolled you is already up by 6. Make it 3. So probably preparing to castle queenside. Yeah, I was not able to participate in this arena because I'm a teacher. And it's a formal tournament, so students only. Ooh. Have a double attack here. So you need to move the queen over. I would not put the queen on f7 because then you're creating a yeah, now you're in some trouble. Taking with check. I rookrolled you is up by 6 now. Threatening to take with check again. Okay, so queen's defending. Cannot take with the pawn because of the pin. So you had to take with the queen there because of the pin. But now the rook can get into the game to go after the queen. Now we probably just castle, or there's that too. Yeah, the rook in front of the queen is a nice battery. So this wins a queen here, 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 win the queen. So the queen will be won with this pin, and that's game over. I rook rolled you, and this time the rook really did roll you. All right. Take a look at the next game. Murray II and Dream Angel 88. Looks like the center could open. White is very underdeveloped here, and so is Murray II. Yeah, I mean, normally you want to get your bishops and your knights developed, and you can see that all these pawn moves, a bunch of pawn moves. And pawn moves are okay. I mean, you definitely want to control the middle of the board with pawn moves, but you also just need to get your bishops developed and castle. And your knights, I mean, the knights are developed here, but get your bishops activated in castle. Very positional. Okay, so we finally have a castle. There is this, but the knight's covering and the king's covering. I mean, you could eventually get this bishop on this light square and try to generate some sort of attack. There's also this takes. Yeah, so maybe put the knight here, and if you put the pawn here to go after the knight, then you can take the undefended pawn this way with check. It's probably the way to go. The idea is you just want to start opening up these files on the king side. So like knight here, yeah, push, push, bishop here. The queen can come in, castle, get the other rook into the game. You could even put this rook, you could even put the rook on A1 on G1. And now you've got rooks on these files. And when these files are going to start opening up, So the move order would probably be, I mean, that works too. So maybe looking at a Greek gift sacrifice, you take with the bishop first, and then you take with the queen, and then you're going for checkmate right away. But I mean, it doesn't quite work because you've got this. Well, now there's takes with check. Yeah. Good move. Yeah, I think Murray II's realizing that they need to start defending themselves here on the king side. But this is very weakening. Normally you don't want to go g7. That's very weakening on the king side. Because now you're just asking white to start opening up these files. So you're gonna, you know, like takes, castle, here, get the other rook in the game. I mean, these rooks are gonna do a lot of damage. So when you got these rooks on the same side of the board as the black king, it's gonna not be good for Murray II. We'll see if Dream Angels 88 can take advantage here. So maybe they want to try to get their queen in this way. And then takes, got a double attack here. Let's see if we see this. Yep, good move. And then you've got the rook and the queen battery once these files start to open up. You could maybe try to close down the file by going like this, but the queen can just take, and or the bishop can take. So still want to take. I would imagine we see this, because this double attack is nasty. Ooh. Why did we not see a take? The rook and the queen double attack here is nasty. I would have taken. And nothing's defending that h6 pawn except for the king. This probably still works. Trying to add an extra defender here. I would still take. And then takes. Yeah, good job. Yeah, this is the better way to go. Because the queen cannot defend. I mean, this is the weakest position on the board for black. Is this. I mean, you could totally ignore this pawn and just take. Takes. Checkmate. King has nowhere to go. This pawn's not threatening anything. The pawn on d4. I mean, it looks like a fork, but if Dream Angel 88 just takes the pawn on g5, it'll be checkmate. Because there's really no way to add an extra defender to h6. And the rook's defending the queen from behind with the battery. I'm surprised I haven't seen it yet. I mean, I guess there is takes, then you take with the bishop. If you take with the bishop instead of the pawn, then the bishop's defending this pawn from behind. Yeah, definitely can't take with the pawn because that's checkmate. But I guess the point is if you take here, then you can take with the bishop. Okay, I'm not sure about that move because now your bishop is still under attack. That doesn't make sense to me. So take with the bishop. Then you take the bishop, and then the queen takes, and then Murray the Second's probably going to win this because I don't think that White's positions may be falling apart. I mean, unless you like develop your bishop, castle, and then like bring the other rook over. I mean, that might work. Yeah, this position's falling apart for Dream Angel 88 because the bishop's not being defended. So you can take the bishop with check. This is +7 now for Murray the Second. The position just fell apart. It was close though. It was definitely close. Dream Angel 88's attack just fell a little bit short. That pawn's not being defended. But you got to be careful. I mean, there is still this. I mean, you could maybe get a threefold repetition here. Because white going here is still a threat. So you could maybe take the pawn with the queen. And if you take the pawn with the queen, then the queen's defending this pawn from behind. Or you could take the pawn with the bishop, and then the bishop is defending this pawn from behind. Ooh, taking with the rook. That, I don't think that was the right way to go. Because now you can take with check. And now the only move, now there's checkmate. Queen to h8 is checkmate. No, it's not, because the bishop's covering from behind. Never mind. I forgot about the bishop. I think that was and I don't think it's quite winning, but that was definitely an inaccuracy. Yeah, bishop's covering. Yeah, bishop's not being defended. So white's trying to fight back. Now there is checkmate. But this bishop's not being defended now. So Dream Angel 88 has checkmate in one move if he could ever get his king to safety. I don't know how you get your king to safety here. I think king to g1, you have to defend the rook because the rook's being attacked. Nope. Now you're losing both rooks. Yikes. Now you're just losing both rooks. That was a good game. If there's a random move, like if there's a random Oh yeah, any non-check move would have been checkmate here. So now you got to put your king here to d2. It's not quite checkmate. d2 is the only escaping square. That's interesting. I mean, you're just sacrificing a queen. I suppose if you went here, oh, I see. You can't go here because the pawn's covering d2. I didn't even see that. I didn't even see that. Pawn's covering d2. So yeah. All right. Tournament's almost over. Murray II was able to hold on after all. I rook rolled you Snowy Double X. Probably not gonna finish on time because there's only 3 minutes left in the tournament. But this is a theoretical draw. I saw a Jedi. Yeah, we've got Trogdor the Lemur. Trogdor the Lemur Jedi. Elo 703. Sonic Star 235, Elo 1186. +1 for Sonic Star 235. It's going to be hard on. It's going to be harder to hold on to both of these pawns with. Okay. So this is a theoretical draw. Unless the king can somehow, like maybe the king can, because this pawn's not being defended. Oop, this pawn's going to go down. I think black might win now. Yeah, black's pawn's going to be much faster. So Sonic Star, good move. Yeah, that's not going to work because white's going to be a little bit too slow here. So Sonic Star is going to win this one. All right, the tournament's over. I'm not sure if they'll be able to get this off in time. All right, good game. And that's the tournament. Yep, 12 seconds left, 10 seconds left. Those of you who watched to the very end, I hope you enjoyed the week 1 regular season of the fall Stride K12 chess rapid 10+0. And I rook rolled you, won first place. Second place, Charles Blanton. Third place, Dr. Evil Man 12. Take a look at the standings. 31 points for I rook rolled you. And by Elo, they're the strongest player as well, 2080. And it makes sense that Charles Blanton and Dr. Evil Man 12 are in the top 3 as well, because they're both very strong players, over 1800. All right, we'll talk to you later. Have a good rest of your day.